Hey, this is Mrs. Harris, and this is Math for You. Today what I'd like to talk about are word problems. Don't push the panic button on word problems. A lot of times students see word problems and they just don't know where to start. And the first thing they want to do is push that panic button and just say, I don't know how to do them, or I just give up. So today I'm going to go over a couple of problems that were in your word problem practice sheet that you had received. And we're going to go ahead and talk about those and see what kind of strategies we can use to solve them so we don't press that panic button. So the first one I'd like to look at is going to tell us that a board is 76 inches long. So let's go ahead and give ourselves a visual. Here's a board. I know that this whole board, this length is 76 inches long. It is going to be cut into two pieces. So I'm going to let one piece be P, since I don't know how long it is, and the other piece is Z. So from this visual, I can see that my piece P plus my piece Z has to be 76. And don't worry about your units of measure. When you're doing this, we can add those back in later. So now that I've got a visual, let's go ahead and actually define our terms. We're going to say let P equal one piece of the board. And then we said we're going to let Z equal the other piece of the board. This step is very important. We need to go ahead and define the variables for our reader. You can choose any letters you want. Next, we had our equation where P plus Z equals 76. But I don't want an equation where I have two different variables. I need to have an equation that just has one variable. So let's read the problem again. One part is 5 inches less than twice as long as the other part. Since I have the word than, I know I have to flip. I have to go ahead and flip what comes after than goes first and what is first goes second. So after the word than, we see twice as long as the other part. Twice as long as the other part, and it says it is 5 inches less than that. So now that I have Z defined in terms of P, I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this equation to say P plus 2P minus 5 equals 76. And here all I'm doing is substituting in this algebraic equation this value of Z written in terms of P. It's just like if I didn't know how tall you were, but someone told me you were twice as tall as your brother, and I knew how tall your brother was, then I'd be able to figure out how tall you were. Or, for example, if you run twice as fast as me, and I know I can do a mile in 12 minutes, then you must do a mile in 6 minutes. Same kind of concept. So here I want to gather like terms. I have a positive 1P and a positive 2P. So that's going to give me 3P minus 5 is equal to 76. 6. But now what I'm going to look at is on the left-hand side of the equation, I have a negative 5. So I'm going to go ahead and add 5 to each side of the equation. So that's a positive 5 and a positive 5. Because whatever I do to the left-hand side, I have to do to the right-hand side. This will go down to 0. So that tells me that 3p is equal to 81. But I don't want 3p. I just need p. So I'm going to divide each side by 3. And when I do that, I determine that p is equal to 27. Am I done? No, because this was only one piece. I need to calculate the other piece. Going back to my formula, I had that the other piece was equal to 2 times the one piece minus 5. So what I want to do here is where I see p, I want to substitute the value of 27 in here. I'm substituting a value for a variable. And when I do this, I find that z equals 49. Am I right? That's a question I get a lot. Am I right, Miss Harris? Am I right? I don't know. But let's look at our original equation and go ahead and substitute. It said that the entire length of L of that piece of board was equal to P plus Z. Well, P plus Z is 49 plus 27, and that equals 76. Was that the original length that I was given? Absolutely. So this one is done. So let's go ahead and take a look at another one. In this problem, we are going to be given that the sum of 3 consecutive even integers is negative 360. Go ahead and find the integers. The sum means that we're going to add of 3 consecutive. Consecutive means that they come in order. So let's look at that. 3 consecutive even integers. So an even integer, let's say it's 2. I'm going to do positive even integers. 4, 6, and we can just keep on finding these all the way out. To go from here to here to get to the next even integer, I have to add 2. To go from here to here for the next integer, I have to add 2. These are consecutive even integers. If I let n be an integer, then 2 times n will always be even. Think about it. If I have an integer, pick one, whatever one you'd like. Let's say I choose 5. So n equals 5. Well, 2n is 2 times 5, which is 10. 2n will always be an even integer. So we let 2n equal an even integer. And I'm just going to abbreviate integer int. Well, the next one has to be 2n. Remember, we have to add 2 to our even integer to get the next one. This is our next even integer. Well, what's the one afterwards? Because I need 3 consecutive integers. Well, 2n plus 4 must be the next even integer. So this is a way of expressing 3 even integers. And the problem says that the sum of them. So I need to add those 3 up. So we're going to add them up. So I know that 2n plus 2n plus 2 plus 2n plus 4, that sum has to give me negative 360. So on this left-hand side, let's go ahead and combine like terms. I have a 2n variable term, a positive 2n variable term, and another positive 2n variable term. So that will then give me 6n. I have a constant term of 2, and I have another constant term of 4. So it's 6n plus 6, and when I add those all together, it's going to give me negative 360. And now this is just going to be set up like the equations that we're used to. We're going to go ahead and put in our brick wall so that we know whatever we do to the left-hand side of the algebraic equation, we have to go ahead and do to the right-hand side. So let's go ahead and subtract 6 from each side. Now be careful here because this goes to a 0, which is fine. We're good with that. That's 6n is equal to negative 360 plus a negative 6 is negative 366. Be careful, don't add it and get 354. Now I don't want 6 of n, I just want n. So I need to divide each side by 6. So we'll go ahead and do that. So we had 6n was equal to negative 366. Put our brick wall there, so that's divide by 6, divide by 6. This term will reduce to a 1, so n is equal to a negative 366 constant term divided by 6 gives me a negative 61. Hey, but wait a second. I thought we were looking for an even integer, Miss Harris. N equals 61 is odd. But remember, our first even integer is 2 times n. So when we substitute the value of negative 61 in, we get 2 times negative 61, and that equals negative 122. That's an even integer. My next one is 2n plus 2. This is my next consecutive even integer. So I look at negative 122 and I'm adding a positive 2. So that means that's negative 120. My last integer is 2n plus 4. So I look at my answer of 2n, negative 122, and I add a positive 4 to it and I get negative 118. So my 3 integers are negative 122, negative 120, and negative 118. But Miss Harris, am I right? I have no idea. Add them together. So I have a negative 122, and I'm going to add a negative 120, and I'm going to add a negative 118. And sure enough, this comes out to be negative 360. Check. On these problems, don't press the panic button.